Alright, now we're going to work on changing the rear tire. So you want to get a 4mm wrench, and I find it a whole lot easier just to go ahead and remove the chain guard. Make your life easy. So there's 3 screws on the Classic anyway. There's 3 screws on the right side and 2 on the left side to get this thing off. Okay, so with the chain guard removed, get the wrench in your toolkit, and you can kind of back that out a little bit to get some more torque. Get that on there, and you loosen it up a bit. And when the bolt starts to spin, take the other wrench and you put it on the other side. Okay, now the axle won't go forward, so what we have to do is loosen these up. So half 1, half 2, half 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half 7, half 8, half 9, half 10. You can do the same on the other side. 2, half 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half 7, half 8, half 9, half 10. Okay, now. Okay, so now the axle's fully forward. Okay, so I've got the master link. I've got a clip type link, and here's the master link right here. I'm just doing that to make my life easier. Now with the wheel pulled forward, you can get the chain to come off and hang out of the way. And with that like that, you can pull the axle out, and the tire sort of drops out of the bike. Now, this is the Sprocket carrier, and that's the rubber donut. The GS's and the Dakars use a different one. The Classics have a one-piece one. And so we're going to look at the sprocket. We're going to take the rear sprocket off, look at it, and replace it. Like this is from a Classic. I think the one for the later models looks different, but you can see that there's these nylock nuts on the back, and then bolts go in from the front. And this is a Sprocket Specialist sprocket that I used the last time. So first thing I'm going to do is loosen up the bolts. Now the bolts are loosened up. I'm going to take a ratchet, and this is a 13 millimeter, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove the bolts. So coming off the bottom is both the nut and the washer. So we're going to do that 6 times. Okay, so we've got all the nuts. We've got all the nuts off. Now we're going to take the last of the bolts out. Kind of interesting. And then we're going to compare this sprocket to a new sprocket, because that's how you really know that you need to change it. All right, so we've got the old sprocket and the new sprocket. One thing I want to point out is this sprocket says 47 on it. I don't know if you can see it, but this one does too. When you put the sprocket on, you want to make sure that the number is facing the outside. Now, if you look at the teeth, you can see that the old teeth are a lot pointier than the new teeth, and also you can see that the groove is symmetrical on the new one, and it's not on the old one. So if we put them like this, then you can see that the old sprocket is worn, which is why I'm replacing it. Okay. All right, now I cleaned the hub up a little bit, why not? And with the 47 showing on the outside, just put the sprocket on, and then put the 6 bolts in. All right, and then I'm going to use brand new nuts because these are nylock nuts, and you're really not supposed to use them more than once. And the ones that are on there I used a couple of times already, so I bought some new ones. Okay, with the washers and the nuts on, I'm going to tighten up all these bolts until they just stop. Don't want to really torque anything yet. So this way, the sprocket is sure to be centered on the carrier instead of being slightly off center. Okay, so with all the bolts in and snug, I'm going to torque them. You could look at the torque spec, or if you think you know what you're doing, you can just rely on your hands. So I did opposite ones, kind of like torquing lug nuts. I want to do them opposite. I'm going to put the rear wheel back on. So the first thing is to put the cush drive. So you can see that there's a set of these with a slot between them. So you want to put the slots on the slot in the wheel, and then we're going to put the rear sprocket on there. Okay, and sneak this past the caliper. Split the pads a little bit to get the thing in there, and now comes kind of the tricky part. Gotta get the axle in. So one of the things that you can do is slip a 2x4 under it. Another one is to just put your foot under there. And the first thing is to get the axle in. You might want to move the camera. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is get the axle in from over here, so that the adjuster slides up and back. And then we need to get it through the caliper. The caliper is going to slide up and back, out through the caliper. So now we need to get it up through the wheel. Okay, stop. All right, so now we need to raise the tire up in order to get the axle to go through it. So one way to do that is to slip a 2x4 under it. Now raise it up some. And you get your foot under there. All right. So now I've got the axle through the wheel. Got to get through the adjuster on the other side. There we are. Okay. So now you can put the washer and the nut. I'm going to put the washer on and the nut.
It's a new nut.
I'm replacing the nut just because I got some from McMaster Car, and it cost about $5 for 10 of them. And they're about, I don't know, $3 each at the dealer. So I figure with 42,000 miles on the bike, it deserves a new nut. So now what I'm going to do is tighten the axle nut, but I'm not really going to tighten it. So it's just on there kind of snug, so you can see the axle still slipping around, which is what I'm after, because I still need to change the chain. So I'm going to put the chain on. Now the chain's on the bike. So we have the chain on, and so now we need to adjust it. So you can see there's a whole lot of chain slop. So what I'm going to do is tighten it until the washer doesn't slop around anymore. So what I want to do is, I don't want to be able to like slide the axle around, but I do want to be able to move it. So I counted the turns when I took the wheel off, and if I hadn't replaced the chain, I would just count them to go back, and it would probably be maybe a half a turn or a turn more. But in this case, let's just half 2, half 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half 7. We'll do 7. Half 1, half 2, half 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half 7. All right, so let's see where we are. Now, I've got these marks here. So this guy has got the 5 mark, And you can see that chain kind of looks okay. The 5 marks in the window, so I'm going to check it on the other side. No, it's way off center. Okay, so that side was up back a little too far. So maybe we'll give it another half one. Half one. Okay. Now with a worn chain, you got to do this in a lot of places, but with a brand new chain, it's the same all over. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now the way to measure your chain, stop. So if you read the tag on the side, it says 20 to 30 millimeters chain tension without load. So 25 millimeters is an inch. So we're looking at about an inch to maybe inch and a quarter of free play. So now if I put this here and push the chain up, I've got this set to about an inch and a quarter. So that looks to be just about right. It might be a little on the loose side, but a little on the loose side is okay. A little on the tight side is going to wear out a chain. A new chain is going to loosen up, so I'll probably have to adjust it again within a week or so. But in any case, I want to check these marks, and I see the 6 mark is just in front of the back of the window. So check the one on the other side, and it is indeed symmetrical. If it's not symmetrical, your wheel's going to be cocked and your tire's going to wear faster. So now, what I want to do is tighten this up. And I figure it's supposed to be about 100 Newton meters. Yeah, that's about it right there. So having gotten that tightened up, I'm going to take my wrench and stick it in here and give it about a quarter of a turn on the adjuster. So, well, this one's getting a little more. What that's going to do is keep the adjuster from falling out. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bike off the center stand and see what the chain adjustment's like. And it still looks plenty good.